Star Trek First Response will return after these messages.
How do you make a battery more powerful without making it bigger? Build a new case with thinner walls made of a new material, polypropylene, that doesn't have to be thick to be strong. Then pack in the power. Bigger plates. More acid. The result, a battery with extra starting power to start your car when most batteries won't.
Last time, in the continuing story of Court of Opinion, the crew of the Avicenna was reassembled aboard the Avicenna, but under a new commander, Desmond Wilkerson. And he seems to be well prepared about who the crew are and what they like. And he seems to be well prepared in terms of who your opponent is. Stian Anders has, what's the word we want, stolen the USS Potemkin with his crew, drawn almost entirely from the USS Potemkin, who experienced a life-changing experience at Xenon 5, where they were translated from their ship almost without warning to nowhere that the Avicenna could find, but the Gorn claimers of that territory later recovered and have recently delivered back into Federation hands. But there does seem to be something slightly off or different about them. And Lieutenant Korsakov's explosive revelation of the alien artifact and alien technology has now cast all of those people into doubt as maybe being in some way affected or influenced or controlled or possessed by an alien intelligence or alien intelligences or what have you, with Stian Anders somehow in the center of this mystery. So the Avicenna, being the only available ship and the only one that they could trust to dispatch to capture it, has been sent out. And en route, Lieutenant Korsakov and Ensign Mbuto undertook a very dangerous trip down memory lane via some cobbled together technology by the Andorian chief medical officer, risking permanent memory loss and motor control to see if their memories could be brought more to the fore. And they uncovered some possibly interesting, possibly threatening information. But before much could be done to act upon it, other than the chief medical officer being able to cobble together notes for a way to resist this mind control effect, a large explosion occurred in subspace, which shook the ship, and reminding those experienced crew aboard who have been through past Federation wars of subspace mines and torpedo detonations and the like. And we ended with Lieutenant Korsakov and Ensign Mbuto throwing off their headgear and rushing to the bridge, where all other duty officers, such as Ensign Yang in his new position in the navigation console, already are. And so this session opens up with the bridge and the arrival of Mbuto and Korsakov. This usual duty shift, all the people that we have talked about before that work together, the chief engineer, Nigel Nickerson, the captain, Anya Smith, Luis Mondragon, and others are all accessible if you, for some reason, don't desire to play your own character. Joanne Parker is in the helm position, but it was noted by the captain that should combat ensue, that he would be switching the two out.
I'll play Yang. I'll stay as Yang.
Right.
Definitely in Korsakov's shoes for the bridge.
All right. Very nice. So, if I can...
Ooh, I'm not sure that was a good idea.
What happened?
Korsakov's security officers of that's not very interesting. I think that Mbuto's sensor sweeping is probably the biggie of the moment. So I think I'm going to play Mbuto instead.
Okay. You remember that Korsakov is now the first officer and so has some
True.
new talents that he didn't have
Oh.
before, but it
Well.
might not be as interesting as Mbuto. I don't know. I mean, that's on you.
I don't know. Let me think about it for a moment. Remind me about the first officer cool shit.
Well, should something really terrible happen, the
Do go on. Past that door.
in the unlikely event of something terrible happening, what was I trying to say? Somebody on the bridge might want to, dip into you and use determination or something along those lines.
Right.
And the first officer will be able to.
Well, I think you're right. They're right. I think first officer is
that
actually significant enough aspect of this to remain. I'll go with my first impression. It's not like Mbuto loses any of his skills or anything just because he's not being played by us. So.
Right.
Mbuto can make he can make his sensor sweeps with assistance from.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, a little more coordination then. Yeah. All right.
Ooh.
All right. So this that I'm sharing with you now is what is showing on the main viewer as the rear doors open behind Captain Wilkerson, and Korsakov and Mbuto enter. Right. So this is to Ensign Yang's right. The main viewer is off to his right. It's right directly in front, filling the whole field of vision for Joanne Parker and the captain. Anya, of course, is turned around. She's got the little silver thing in her ear, and her voice is kind of trailing off. And Mbuto rushes over and relieves the crewman who is at the sensor station, and drops his head right down to the hood and starts adjusting things. Nickerson is giving the damage report to the captain, revealing that shields are down 30%.
Wow. Right. That was a big hit.
I see on the screen at least 3 and perhaps 4 little saucer thingies with little lights.
And what my shared image is not showing is that they are in motion. I mean, all of this debris is in motion. And Mbuto starts spouting off basic information about his sensor scan, which is that through the use of some sort of gravitational beam, not unlike a tractor, these devices are connected to the surrounding bodies, the drifting massive asteroids, some of them dwarfing
right. So each
the
one
Avicenna
is
in size.
Yeah. Okay.
And they are converging slowly on the position of the Avicenna. You can tell through the deck plating, and Yang already knows because he heard the order. Captain Wilkerson called a full stop as soon as the detonation. He was piecing things together, and as the previous sensor operator revealed that there was a minefield, he brought the Avicenna to a stop. And so very, very slowly now, the mines are beginning to converge on the Avicenna.
Proximity mines.
Right. And they have the capacity to detonate. They do seem to be seeking. And they have the capacity to pull these asteroids, these massive asteroids, along with them.
So the mine itself explode, or is the explosion caused by the collision with the asteroids?
It can be both.
Both, right?
And so the
That makes it
sensor
even
data
harder.
that has been shared is that a mine collided with the Avicenna and exploded, and then
Bringing
energy
along.
was arcing through the entire asteroid belt, and now things are beginning to converge on the Avicenna. And this is a spot along the route toward Triacus.
As navigator, Yang would probably think that we can try to chart across the hazard or away from the hazard. So there is that option, but he is not doing it until he is given the order to do so by Wilkinson.
Is he going to start plotting the course, though?
He could,
Like to be
yeah,
ready,
sure.
or
Yeah, to be ready. Like, wow, unless there's fresh orders from the captain, that's what he sees he can do.
okay.
I need to ask Mbuto to assess for the viability of a particular tactic. So I'm not going to explain it to anybody, but my Korsakoff's thinking is that the worst thing we could do is sit around and play Minesweeper with a bunch of mines. And, maybe win the Minesweeper game, but it's going to take a while and, completely play into Anders' hands to give us toys to play with, at periodic steps along the way. And that instead, since they're beginning to converge and they're slow, at least at the moment, this is navigation and sensors working together. Okay, so I'm just stepping into it. First officer is first officer. Captain can countermand if he wants. Navigation. Sensors. Find which one we blast to then accelerate past it and get out of this situation, breaking the convergence pattern before it closes. Our priority is rapid escape.
Sounds cool. The captain nods and directs his steely blue gaze on the nape of Andrew Yang's neck. And
Wow.
and I'm going to express this as a challenge, a gated challenge.
Ooh,
The navigational data
Okay.
will need to be done first, and this is kind of a weird thing. It's like it's going to bounce back and forth. First,
right. Mm-hmm.
Yang with the rapid plotting of the asteroid field, and Buto figuring out the relationships and connections with the mines.
And if we get a good roll on Mbuto, then we can do things like find out whether they've got nasty things hidden in them and whatnot. Sorry to interrupt.
Exactly.
Then you were going to say, then we scoot back to the other.
And then we go back to Joanne Parker to get us out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And or Yang should
Or we boot him in there. Yeah.
depending on how bad that roll ends up looking,
Exactly.
or how little we learn, or whatever.
If she gets +5 dice, then that's cool. But
Yang can always screw it up from the first step.
right.
Okay.
So it's 3 tasks altogether, are you saying?
It's 3 tasks, and they have to be done
Korsakoff
in order. So
in
if
order.
anything fails along the way, then
One thing Anthony and I mentioned along the way, Casey, while we were hanging out a bit, was the many ways in the Starship combat rules, in addition to the ordinary ways, that you can get a double tap task.
The swift
That
action.
there's you can spend
Oh, right.
two you can spend two
Yeah.
momentum and get
to,
that
to
extra
get a second action.
task and things like that, which rather than give the mines all of their turns in polite, gentlemanly order.
Well, we only have one momentum on the pool, so
I know
we're
see
gonna have
what
to
we
earn
have
it.
to work with. Right. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. It's a good thing about these gated rolls is you do have a chance. All right.
Right. Presuming they don't kill a lot of successors. So what's Yang going to do first? And before that, you need to get the dice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Yang leaves the bridge. So I gotta get some dice.
That's right. No, I got to get my dice. Yeah.
I have. I'll wait till his earphones are back in. I have set Zoom so that any of us can share the screen. So when you are spending points for whatever, deducting shield points or anything like that, you can share the screen and unshare the screen. As
the little light on share the screen is this big glowing green in the console there.
So that should make some things a little easier. All right. And while this is all happening, Nigel Nickerson is reporting that he has restored shields to full strength. That's what he's been doing during this preliminary assessment period. But he's got, Korsakov has recently been talking to him, and Korsakov, with all of his psychological and medical background, can see the strain on this, kind of by the book engineer. He's been making some shortcuts and rerouting some from energy that he might not normally think was appropriate to do in order to be ready for this.
Possibly unsympathetically, Korsakov thinks engineers do best when they're stressed out. So
they're fading. All right, Ensign
they seem to
Yang.
enjoy it. It's like theater people, right?
Ensign Yang, you have a navigational task ahead of you. Right, the sensor data is flooding in, and can you make sense of it and give us a good course, I wonder? And this is your job. This is control and how about con? Control and con.
Control and con. My best numbers. Difficulty.
Well, it's not easy, but it's also not ridiculous. So just 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's challenging.
It's challenging. Yeah. So let's see. We have 1 momentum and 3 threats. I wouldn't like to risk it so early, and I think my odds are pretty good. So I think I will just roll 2 dice against a target number of 14, and we will anticipate disastrous results.
Right, if history of the campaign has shown us anything.
Exactly. Yes, indeed, we get disastrous results. Both fails.
Well, that's not disastrous.
Well, they were close to 20s if we had the complication rate we could do this.
But that doesn't matter because it was a gated challenge, which means none of the rest of the rolls can be made.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty disastrous.
Now, do I interpret this as Ensign Yang's failure to do his job, or do I interpret it the way I'm going to interpret it, which is the ingeniousness of this trap? Right. If there was a way out, it has closed. The detonation against the Avicenna, which knocks it out of warp and drops it down into real space, eroded any chance of a quick way out, as Korsakov's quick thinking indicated had been possible. Now, however many moments before, right?
Right.
And but even though the mines are drifting in very closely, there are mines for vast amounts of kilometers in all directions, and all of these stellar bodies, right, or all these broken rocks and moon-like objects are all being moved into position in all directions in a sphere around the Avicenna, representing a tremendous amount of power. And Buto is able to make eye contact with Korsakov and says the frequency's the same. No one else has any idea what he's talking about. Right. Which gives him another one of those icy blue looks from the captain.
Embuto. Or rather, no, I'll take it. I lose it. Peely. Patch with Anya. Jam that signal.
Ooh. Now here we wind up in a challenging situation as Anya can make a difficulty 0 roll. All right. So she's going to need some assistance here. Right? And to see if it's possible for her to fulfill this request. Okay. So, the captain snaps at Korskov. Explain.
The signal coordinating this trap is the same as that generated by the alien artifact in all of its functions. And this is it is the point of vulnerability that we have uncovered with our data from the hypnosis, the whatever it was called. You had a name for it. The widget that we did. I remember you had a cool name. But anyway, we got data. We can get that data from sickbay. We get that data from Jim right now. Use it with the sensor information that Peely's bringing in right now, and we can hit it to disrupt the coordination among these devices and whatever connection they have to this immense amount of power that they're drawing from somewhere. I mean, this is an immense amount of power. This is not just Starfleet mining tactics. This is different.
Right.
And this signal, the communication, the coordination of the signal among them is its weak point. And we know what that signal is now.
All right.
Patch
So while the explanation...
Patch from sickbay. Right.
While the explanation has been taking place, like Anya has like been a little deer in the headlights looking at Embuto, jam that signal now, and she's like, and so Embuto is kind of like leaning in, says no time, and he's working away, and he's summoning up, his computer is whirling, and briefly, distantly, through Anya's little earpiece, we can hear a voice which could be Jim's yelling something, and she's not reacting, and she's patching information. And the captain directs them, focuses them on the task. Isolate the signal, use the main communications array, snaps over at Nickerson, give them all the power they need. It's like, oh, aye, sir. And does anyone else have something to contribute?
Yes. I believe that you're going to see papers fly in all directions as I try to put together the options that I have. And security functions are not actually all that important at the moment, I don't think.
No. And Korsakov no longer has them.
Right. And that's true. And I'm also, okay, damn it. These are the disciplines, not the roles. and trying to find all the places where like the bridge officer
Positions. Yep.
because yeah, those
Operations,
positions are
combat,
actually
and-
listed because they've got
and-
one for like what the captain can do. They've got one for what
Right.
the each.
As first officer, he is the CO, right?
Yes,
Is
I guess
No,
so.
the captain is the
No,
CO,
the captain's the CO. Yeah,
Okay.
right,
commanding officer.
Um,
He's the executive officer.
right. There it is,
Second in
commanding, and then it just goes into helm and navigation and stuff. It actually doesn't say the first officer's role, which must be
Yeah.
somewhere else in the rules.
It's listed
It's
as
not-
the executive officer,
Okay.
which is right under the commanding officer.
Not in my page, I'm sorry to say.
Oh, okay.
That's what.
Yeah, I couldn't find it on the PDF as well.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on.
Well, remember, there are multiple places for...
I know, that's what I'm suffering over right now.
Right, so the first officer doesn't have a bridge position.
Right, correct. And so I'm looking at that's what this is currently organized by.
All right, so I'm gonna help out a little bit.
Yeah, what's the first officer, Benny?
The first officer's benefit is that if someone's going to spend determination, which I'm about to announce, then the first officer can turn that into momentum instead. So they spend the point of determination if they are able to do so, if they qualify to do so. And then when everything's resolved, the first officer, if they have enough momentum, can spend 3 to restore that determination to the person who spent it.
Oh, I see. Right,
It's
right,
pretty powerful.
right.
Well, in which case, I think we can't do that yet because we don't.
No,
have
we don't. We do not yet have the dice. But
It's
okay,
it's
but
the
even
sequence,
so.
right? So the first
Right.
officer's ability takes place at the end of the long
End
roll.
of
Yeah,
the roll.
yeah. Okay,
Assuming,
good enough.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
I just don't want to miss I don't want to miss an option or phase as we go along. So sorry for
Sure.
that delay.
There's no,
All right.
no. This is our first time to have these things in our
Bridge
hands,
control.
and there's a ton of them, and they're on multiple pages at random points in the book. So,
Doesn't make
what
it
can I do?
easier to find.
Mhm. All
but
right.
each
I
time
miss-
it gets that little bit easier.
I missed that point about the normal milestone that I was saving, and when you pointed out it can be saved as determination. I'm like, where could I find that? Oh, it was in the other chapter.
Yeah, and 3 paragraphs down. Yeah.
Right.
But okay, so here's the deal. Anya, as we know, has the value already done,
Right. Mm-hmm.
but she's not been involved in what has just been revealed in sickbay, right? She's out of the loop, and so her value is very much in play, right? She needs to help out. She's the one who coordinates. So that value is active, and she's willing to contribute determination to this task, which she's working on with Mbuto.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so she's serving as the coordinator with sickbay and with engineering to funnel the information in the correct format and bite-sized amounts to Mbuto. They've worked together for 1,000 years. They work together well.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Mbuto's
And I
all
really
about
like that
self-reliance
signals
and-
jamming. Yeah, the signals jamming function right here is all laid out in front of me with its little
Okay.
disciplines and everything. So,
All right, so we'll get to that part next.
right.
And so Mbuto is sorting everything out. And this is going to be the first part of this role. Can they isolate the actual signal from the information? And do we have enough power even to jam it? So we're going to begin with just a sensors roll from Mbuto. That's difficulty 0. And he has 2 dice to begin this roll. He's going to be assisted by Anya, who's lending her expertise as the comms officer and master of the communications array and all of that. And normally, if I were multiple people, they would be role-playing this conversation out.
This is
And,
well suited for a 6-person group. Little harder for us. Yeah.
It's ideal, right? If only we had multiple personalities. But all right, so I'm going to quickly record my roll here. I have 2 blue dice and 1 red die for Anya. And let's get everything in focus. And very exciting. Well, not terribly exciting, as nothing comes of the roll.
Oh,
Anya
Its
would have
difficulty is
succeeded.
0.
Anya would have succeeded, but unfortunately, Ambuto did not roll lower than 16.
ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so he's having difficulty isolating the signal and determining how much power to use.
We have got to coordinate this better. You see, the ship is just waiting to. All we need is 1 success, and the ship can assist. Right? I mean, we just need
Anya
to
actually succeeded on her assist, but yeah. So yeah, that's all we needed. That's all we needed.
Let's see here.
So, as we said, Anya was willing to spend determination on this role, but now Ambuto is putting this all at risk.
Right. What the only thing I can think of to do is to actually get next to him. This may be a little buddy romance here. Get next to him and talk about reminding him of what we just remembered and experienced. And I don't know if that's going to be something that's mechanically viable or not.
Well,
but
let's
the
take a look
chance.
Let's take a look at Ambuto first. Has this situation brought one of his values to the fore?
One of his values concerns the self-reliance, the sense of we make our own decisions here.
Hold yourself accountable.
Hold yourself accountable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In which case, he may not appreciate Korsakov coming over, whispering ideas.
I'm not so sure. I mean, it's more a matter of depends on what I say. I mean, along the lines of you can always challenge values too, right? I mean, you don't have to, complicate them. I mean, and it's like, just this once, just this once.
Just this once, rely on other people.
Yeah, just this once. It's all of us together, right?
I like it.
That's
all right. So
yeah,
we'll add that.
This guy's born a little too much of all that, if you ask me.
No kidding.
Let's complicate that a little.
All right. So if he were a main character with a player, I might step in and say, you've got this choice, right? You want to stick to that self-reliance, or do you want to have a little bit of internal disruption, which allows him to gain a point of determination, giving him 2. Now, the idea is, does he have a value that is currently active? Does he only have the 1 value? Does he have some way to spend this determination? Because if he can spend it, then he can re-roll this.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Well, I guess I didn't quite follow your question. I thought we just got one of his values active. But that's what gave it to him. Now we have to determine it. Doesn't he have 2 values?
Yep. Well, the other one's about rank. Rank is not a hindrance for action, so I don't think that really applies as strongly.
Yeah.
It's not a rank question.
Well, let's see. As long as we are, putting our pedal to the metal and trying to rev this as hard as we can, out of sheer desperation, I might add, then I'm going to stay. You know, out here we make our own rank.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to, that it's I'm pulling in all my knowledge of my friend here, to kind of bring it all out. It's I'm agreeing with him basically. This isn't about uh me telling you what to do, as first officer to the ensign. That's not what I'm doing here. We are, and remember I used his first name earlier.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm aiming at, is that Korsakoff is really shitty at being a first officer in the in the sort of hierarchical way. It's not his. I sort of did that. I was like, is he going to be good at this? The answer is no, not yet. Maybe later. But maybe that's kind of what I'm going for. I mean, that's the business of talking to him a little bit and whatever is much more of a, we're working on this together. We're just two guys with our fellow gender neutral phrasing guys on the bridge, and have to make this machine work. So that's what we're here for. So the question is whether that's enough to kick in that determination for the sort of rank doesn't matter value.
Well, I don't know that we can motivate him via rank, but his other value hasn't been challenged.
Right.
It has been complicated. So that the question is, does he want to be solely responsible for the death of the entire ship? It doesn't.
Yeah.
So I'm
okay.
I'm
so
leaning...
complicating is getting the determination. Challenging it is spending it. Okay, that actually makes more sense. Yeah.
No.
No.
If the value applies, if the value is relevant to the scene or the situation, you can spend determination. And if a value becomes complicated, such as the player feels that their character is being pulled in multiple directions, or the game master sees an opportunity for that to be represented, and states a course of action or the prevention of a course of action to complicate that value, to bring that out for role-playing purposes, then the mechanical benefit is the award of determination. So if it's relevant, you can spend determination if you have one. If we are messing with it from a role-playing perspective, then you can earn a point of determination. And if it gets challenged, you can earn a point of determination, but then you can't use that value at all until you go through experience again. So, and deal with changing your value. So that's quite a complicated set of things. So using a value or invoking a value, complicating a value, and challenging a value, they all have different effects.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have to ask ourselves here is, we can see clearly that Ambuto, in order to get through this, needs to open himself up to the idea of accepting help. But we're not at a position where we want to make this a fundamental character change of Ambuto. So we are kind of thrusting upon Ambuto the choice of accepting help from others. So his value has been complicated. The question we're trying to answer is, Was his sense of personal accountability active as a value to the point where he could spend determination to succeed, or to theoretically succeed?
Actually, I think it is. I mean, if we have seen mechanically, if we don't get this, we cannot start the cascade of dice that
There you go.
gets us somewhere.
We're all
And
gonna die.
if I'm using it in game mechanics terms, screw you, because it's synonymous with saying we care a lot about this, Embuto. Thank you. Without
There you go.
it can't happen. So
All right. So I'm going to keep.
So he
On
earns
his
it and he
roll.
spends it.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's going to spend his original one and get a shiny new one, or whatever, when the smoke clears. But he's going to re-roll his 2 dice, both of which failed, because that's just the way it
what
is.
they do.
That's what dice do.
That's what dice do, or at least that's what your dice do. Huh. This is kind of cool. I like it when a plan comes together. Just for the sheer excitement of it, I rolled a delta, which is 1, which is 2 successes. And I rolled an 11, which is a success. So on his 2 dice, he gets 3 successes. Anya also gets an 11, which is a 4th success. And now we can include the ship,
Right.
which I'll just toss in. The ship gets a 13, which contributes nothing.
Okay,
So we still end up with 4 successes here on this roll. Okay. So they are able then to earn 4 momentum with their 4 successes. And they are able to determine the correct frequency and at least have a sense of if they have enough power to attempt to jam the signal. So this is going to call on Nigel Nickerson. All right. And he's going to have to restore power once this is over. But Anya is going to do the signal jamming, and she will, of course, need help from Embuto and the like. But would you like to have these momentum just go into the bank, or did you want to obtain more information beyond what I just told you, or?
Well, 4 is not a lot to play with, to be honest. We can spend 1 for obtain information, 2 for advantage, which costs up to 3. Or do you want to keep bank most of them?
Well, we do have a cascade of dice, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
we
To keep them
remain
for
in the,
later
in the
rolls.
gated challenge. We need to. The whole point was to build momentum for better advantageous rolling, and Mr. Difficulty over there is just waiting for us. So I
if
think we have the information we need. I mean, all we would do is just create advantages with it anyway. So
if you used it to create advantage,
you could potentially reduce the difficulty for subsequent tasks
to 0.
Creating one advantage is as far as I want to go with this. We need some momentum banked, right?
Yep.
So let's split it. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure. So we spend 2 and we'll keep the other 2. We put 3 in the pool. So that's enough for 2 dice.
Okay.
Right.
So you're going to roll. So Anya's going to roll 2 dice plus the ship die. And she'll be assisted by Nigel Nickerson, which will give her another die. And now, an advantage has been created that we understand the frequency. Some studies have already been conducted about this type of energy, and Tillich and Embuto already worked on a device to cancel out the energy through the main deflector dish back in the pilot. So there's an awful lot to underpin the notion of an advantage, reducing the difficulty from the 1 that it was to 0. Okay.
I highly approve. This is very much along the lines of what I wanted.
All right. Very cool.
So Anya is now making a jamming check.
Yeah. So let's walk me through the signals jam, seeing as how you have all done.
Since I am so prepared.
Yeah. And then I can just roll dice like a human being.
Yes, exactly. All right. Power requirement of 1. Well, actually, it says choose a single vessel or other target within medium range. I'm going to say the target is whatever node of signaling we can possibly, identify. And so then power requirement of 1. This is a control plus engineering task assisted by the ship's communication plus security.
Right.
And in control plus engineering, that's interesting because it is a communications officer task. So, but it's an engineering discipline. The character chooses a difficulty of 1, 2, and 3. That's... Oh, no, I see what you're doing. Right. You are shooting to make their signaling more difficult.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to do. So we have to see whether we can... Okay, this is actually fiddly, so brace yourself.
Here we go.
Right. Success means that the target increases the difficulty of hailing frequencies open or respond to hail tasks by an amount equal to the difficulty the communications officer chose. So basically, it's as strong. Their difficulty is raised by our success. Fortunately, there is no halving or doubling or any crap like that, which I feared. But
it sounds like you have to choose the difficulty you're shooting for. Yeah.
Exactly. So how many successes are we going to shoot for? I would particularly like to go big with a 2. But I do not know how brave I am. How brave are we collectively, Casey?
My question is, what's the significance of increasing the difficulty for the mines? Like, do they require those checks?
Well, the whole idea of the fact that there is a frequency of communication, and we know that the alien artifact from the planet that we encountered beams this. Remember, we got hit by that horrible scan. We know that this is how the crew of the Potemkin got, there's good beaming, that's ours, and then there's bad beaming, that's theirs. And they got bad beamed away, right? And so the point is this thing operates like this, basically,
So what we are jamming is wherever the source is coming towards these mines. Right.
Exactly. The idea is that something is coordinating these
from
these mines. I mean, these things are not standard Federation issue, and they're operating off this coordinated communication. So we knew all that, and we, as Anthony pointed out, can draw on tons of things throughout the episodes. A ton of them, in fact, to say, that we know signal. That. Yeah.
All right.
We have our, we have pull the lever.
If you're going for difficulty 2 to jam, does it benefit from the advantage that we created earlier, therefore reducing it to 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to use this signal jamming. I mean, the way the rules are written focuses specifically on hailing frequencies open and that, but we're talking about communication between these devices. We're going to be jamming that so that their coordination is diluted. So the difficulty is reduced by the advantage that you paid for all the reasons that we discussed. And an interesting thing that we haven't looked at before is the use of ship's power.
I'm gonna cut Nickerson a break.
So it costs 1, and
it costs
the
1
rules
already.
itself. The rules itself doesn't seem to state that it costs additional for higher difficulties. If I'm
No,
reading it
I
correctly.
mean, you can, on pretty much any ship-related task,
Yeah,
you can
cost
draw
one.
on more power. You can allocate more
Right.
of the power resource to a task. And what this does is it increases the complication range, just like spending threat. But on the other side, if successful, it earns bonus momentum to the tune of the amount of extra power that you involved.
It's
Oh,
not that bad a thing. I was going to save, maybe just I'm going more intuitively here. I was going to save stuff like give me more power for actually going nose to nose with the Potemkin, or at least,
So,
being in the same system with the Potemkin. So I wasn't sure I was going to go this far.
well, power
Um,
regenerates every scene. So what we spend,
Oh,
like,
fuck it.
unless the
More
Potemkin
power.
shows up now, it doesn't.
Right,
It's
right.
not going to
No, the
matter.
whole point was the Potemkin was trying to get far away. It's not lurking for us now. So
The
they have their
the question at
priorities. So screw it.
hand, the question at hand is: do we have a use for the bonus momentum that is earned in that point? Because this is the momentum you can't bank.
We always have a use for bonus momentum.
So there you go. So if you'd like to put more power into this task, it's
one more
it's
power.
there. Just one. All right. So we're
I
spending
guess.
one. So KC, maybe you've got the ship in teams open. You can spend a point of power, and then spend another point of power. And
Right.
okay. Now this increases our complication range, right?
That's why I'm not
To-
spending two. It scares the crap out of me. Complications
To-
are like the devil.
18.
Mhm.
All right, so 18, 19, 20. Yeah.
the complication range is 18, 19. Anya's rolling 2 dice on a difficulty 2. Difficulty 1, sorry.
Difficulty
one,
2
yeah.
reduced to 1. Beating a target number of a...
Difficulty of 0. Difficulty of 0
Yeah. Yeah. It was a
advantage.
difficulty of 1 and we knocked it down. Yeah.
to 0.
I thought we were going with... I thought we chose difficulty 2.
No, I decided difficulty 1.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's even better.
Yeah.
Oh, I
safer.
see what
A
you're
lot
talking about.
safer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't want to go for difficulty 2. You want to go for difficulty 1.
Difficulty 1 reduced to 0.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. Here we go.
All right. So
I'm gonna-
2 dice.
Here comes the roll.
That's loud too. Drama.
I rolled, believe it or not, focus, a 20 and a 17.
Oh, God. I was just hoping that the complication range was going to bite. The 20 is bad enough, so...
That's 2
Still-
complications. I can do all kinds of things with 2 complications.
Is the 17 a complication?
No, I thought you said 18, 19, 20.
Oh, you're right. I can't count. That's just one complication.
The natural one. Couldn't have helped anyways. So, right. But there was an assistance. Oh, I actually failed. So, yeah. All right.
You can't really fail more than this. So,
Wow.
we're in the exact same situation we were before.
Mhm.
Square one.
Now her
for
value
30
is
minutes.
already active, right? Already done is
Right.
is there. So, and she has a point of
Determination.
she doesn't
She can-
have a point of determination.
No anymore. Right.
But this
But
is
I
where
can spend
having it-
momentum to give her one.
You can't. You can spend momentum to replace one that is spent. The captain can give her one.
Well, time for the captain to earn his chair.
All right. And what makes the captain is he can inspire people without needing to have a value
Right.
active. So when the need is great, he can point, give the order, right, in his own particular idiom and make it happen. Right. And so it's just very quietly cutting through all the chatter. Nigel Nickerson is talking about diverting the power, and Mbuto's screaming about frequencies over the other noise, and Joanne Parker is counting off the ranges, of the mines drifting in, and Luis Mondragon is tracking things just in case he's called upon to fire, and that. So there's all this noise, and then cutting right through it. He's not yelling. He's not over the top. He just says, We're all relying on you, Lieutenant. And we will re-roll
By spending that viewpoint of determination.
by spending the determination. It's a very determined crew. And this time, she gets 1 success, allowing the ship to be involved. The ship does not help.
Really?
But she gets sufficient successes. She earns 1 point of momentum. You spent an extra power, so she earns 2 points of momentum. What would you like to do?
Boy, we are just, it's like chinning, right? Okay. Right, exactly.
So
Okay,
who
well,
was
the whole
next
point
on-
was the jam, right? So we were able to establish the jam of 1 upon the mines, and the only then question I have is from our sensor guy. I'd say, oh no, never mind. I'm going to just take it as given. They're going to be slowed down somewhat, and then I'm going to say, Joanne, take us out of here.
All right.
So can she spend this 2 new momentum? Because like you said, it's not something we can bank on.
She can spend it for a die if we want to do that, correct?
It's Anya's. It's
oh,
in Anya's
personal.
hand.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
So she will have to spend it then. She will have to spend the 2.
Yeah. I'm just realizing I forgot the assistance from Embuto. So I'll just add that in right now. And Embuto, oh, so close to his focus, but no.
Okay, well, that's still good news.
Right. So it's.
I'm just worried about our 19s right now. That's.
Yeah.
Complication.
So this adds an additional point in Anya's hands, right? So Anya
She's
is
holding
our,
3 momentum on the line here, right? Okay.
Right.
But
all right.
2 of which he has to spend now, and the one from Embuto is the one that can be backed.
Correct.
Is that correct? Right.
That is totally correct. No, that's incorrect. You can bank 2 of them. She earned 1, and Buto earned 1, and the ship's power gave you a bonus 1.
Right. So
that's
2 to bank. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how about
2 to
this?
bank 1.
Spend 1 on obtain information.
Information. Yeah, that's
Right. That's the best route. Yeah. And then the other 2 get banked as right and usable, therefore, more generally.
For Anya. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
For
Joanne.
Joanne.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So basic
Joanne,
info and extra info.
All right. So Anya is sending out to Yang at the navigation console, excuse me, and to Joanne Parker at the helm. She's sending out signal strengths, which translate through their consoles into the different ranges and the different velocities and speeds of all of these objects in motion. This is the information that was proving to be difficult to gain before, right? Revealing a possible corridor to evade, making what seemed impossible slightly more possible, although still doomed to failure unless Joanne Parker wants to create an advantage to get out of this situation, reducing her difficulty down to 0.
We've got to, the difficulty is the killer here. Getting that down to 0 is actually turning into a big deal for us.
All right. Now she's the helm, right?
Is this time for Andrew to jump into the helm for me to switch him out? Because this born to lead thing, right, seems to be the way.
They do this to Chekhov all the time. They move him all.
Oh,
over
I know.
the place.
I know. And I would say, in fact, I'll even say, oh God, this is. I just
I'm
feel
actually,
so.
I'm actually kind of interested to see Joanne shine in this.
Do you? Okay, good enough. In that case, I'll just say, Andrew, give her all the help you can.
Actually, if she's using her con skills, I can actually work with.
That's what I'm saying.
Collaboration.
Yeah, at the
Do it.
very least, we can combine in and help her out with a pre-roll.
All right, but that was just the base information, or is that
That's-
the one we bought?
That's the one. That's what you bought.
All right, so that's all right. That's fine. So the two that we could bank, we will bank.
Yep.
Anthony, do you need a dog break, a dog check?
I do. So if you guys can coordinate.
Right,
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah, go.
We'll work out the details.
Boy, at least we're not playing Starfleet battles from 1981 or whenever, which was one of those big star map, move around.
Right,
kinda.
miniature games.
Yeah.
So it looks to me that we have 5 in the pool, which I think Joanne can happily spend all, if not all of them.
Right.
And if she spends, I need to check my talent on collaboration. I think I need to spend, someone needs to spend momentum to get that.
Well, the question is, I don't know how Anthony's ruling this. Does Yang get like a full roll first?
No,
Or is it just an assist on
if
her?
I use my collaboration talent, Joanne uses my collaboration numbers.
Right. That's what we got. Excellent. Oh, well, that's perfect. Help her out.
Sorry,
I collaborate.
Yeah, my con
Right.
numbers.
No, that's exactly right. Let's just do that then. This is beautiful. God, for once, this is actually pretty cool. We're actually seeing the Avicenna crew do exactly what it does best.
Yeah, exactly.
With all these different personalities that we've built and everything. It's like bam, bam, bam. If we all just blasted through our roles, that'd be one thing. But it's like, what does the Avicenna crew do when they're handed a bunch of shitty roles in a row? This is what we do, right? So that makes sense to me. All right. In that case, let's rehearse it so poor Anthony doesn't have to talk us through. So the first is, it's basically Joanne's role, but she's using your numbers.
My con numbers.
Right. And
but that will cost more momentum.
Right. And when that leaves us, how many momentum?
Oh, they'll leave out this 4.
Right.
We still have 4.
Should we give her an extra die?
She could buy up to 2 dice. That will cost 3.
Right. Do we want to do that? I mean, I'm feeling nervous about emptying the momentum bank, right? Because we could end up with.
Well, this is the evasion roll, isn't it?
Okay,
so this is
let's do it.
The last one in the task.
So she rolls 4 dice using your con.
Using my cons. Yeah.
And she's up against difficulty 0.
I think it's difficulty 0. It was.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. That's we just went through all that. Believe me, we just went through massive system suffering to get that difficulty to 0. So,
so
I mean, that's a pretty damn good. That's finally we're cooking with gas on system
we could even revive the pullback to its
if we're lucky.
States.
I would really like to go into the next scene with a couple of momentum just sitting there.
Yeah, because we'll lose one anyways.
I know. Building it up from 0 is terrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just need to make sure I have Joanne's numbers.
Right.
And this whole pool thing is throwing me off. All right. So Anya has a con. Oh, sorry. Why am I thinking Anya is Joanne today? No, that's not true. Well, Joanne technically has the same con as Yang, but I'm still more inclined towards the role-playing.
Of course, we got to do it this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's more cooler that way, even though it costs like momentum.
Anthony's all about, say it from the fiction, don't let the numbers lead and whatever. It makes him happy, so I'm good with it.
Actually, now that you brought it up, there was a reason why I chose Joanne's talent of technical expertise. Let's see if we can double on the effect
We had it all worked out, and Casey just had an idea 5 seconds ago.
Cool.
So now he's
It'll be more memorable that way.
So what's Anya making for her check? And I'm particularly
Joanne?
interested in Joanne. Yes, correct. Joanne.
This is the actual evasion roll.
Evasion
So this
roll.
is control and con.
Any assistance from the ship?
Absolutely, because the ship is just as excited not to
It's
explode
moving.
as you are to have her not explode.
right.
That would be something to do with computers, I'm hoping.
You're asking me what ship
the ship
systems
assistant?
are involved.
Yeah.
We don't use the ship very often for me to remember what they're all called. Which
Exactly.
is
Or sensors.
She could either be using the engine. I mean, this is a
this is engines
blast
and
out of there.
con.
Yeah, engine seems more.
Engines and con. All right. So we
Yeah.
won't get to
Sorry.
we won't get to see Joanne's technical expertise talent, but we'll get to see.
Okay. Talk me through it. What did you see that you wanted? Because
Technical expertise says that if you attempt a task assisted by the ship's computer or sensors, you may reroll 1d20.
She's
Maybe
working
the
with
ship-
sensor data.
Yeah, I love it. That turns me
Yeah.
on. Make it happen.
Okay. So what we are going to do is Anya is the leading role, and she'll be making
Joanne.
Joanne. Joanne's making the leading role. What you say it was control and calm.
Yep.
That's a leading role. We are going to spend one momentum so that Yang can use his collaboration talent,
Nice.
which allows Joanne to use Yang's
Right.
con numbers, which is the same, but it's cooler. That
But we
way, and
like it.
Works with,
Yeah, it's better.
It
Tastes better.
it works with the whole
Mhm.
working together part. And then we are spending 3 momentum to buy 2 dice for Joanne. So she's rolling 4 dice on the difficulty 0 with a target number of 13. And then she's gonna spend, oh wait, she doesn't have to spend the momentum. She's gonna be able to reroll one of those dice because the assistance from the computer requires a computer of sensors.
Aces. Roll it.
We're hedging the bets.
I love it.
And what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Is anybody going to use Joanne's nickname?
Tex?
Tex.
Yang uses her nickname.
Of course, that's there's your momentum right there.
That's your collaboration right there.
I feel the momentum travel across the board with that syllable. Right.
All right. So the good news is she has 3 successes out of 4 dice. Does the 19 mean? Does the complication range still remain at 19?
No, this is a new roll.
No.
Not
But in any
spending
case,
power on this.
yeah. In any case, it's a 19. I'll just reroll it anyways because I can.
Yeah. Roll a 20.
I get a 9. So I have 4
9.
successes.
Wicked.
None of which falls under her focus, I believe. So
There are worse things. So
Right.
yeah.
All right. Very cool. So, please adjust your momentum accordingly.
the numbers all worked out. We should
Yep.
be left with, but we have 4
4 on the
new
line now.
momentum. We have
Right.
4 new momentum after spending 3. So let me just. And
Well, we blew all the momentum we had, and we just gained 4 on the line. Am I understanding correctly?
we should have. We spent 4. We spent 4 and we regained 4. So we're pretty much back to 0. But our momentum pool was already initially at 1 before we started this whole thing.
Okay.
So do we want to decide what to do with the 4 momentum now, or we want to bank it all in and lose 1 at the end of the scene?
I'm inclined to do that. I'm inclined to say, let's go into our next situation with a few sitting there, 4 successes. I'm hoping should be plenty to get us out of here as planned. I can't imagine I can't imagine what Anthony
else?
has up his sleeve to say, oh, and by the way, then from behind the moon. I'm like, oh, come on.
ESG track. So
yeah. So let's do that thing called trek, which means to go across the stars, and hence Star Trek.
So I'm gonna put the four that we earned into the bank, and if this is where the scene ends, then I will take it off. I'll take 1 off.
Yeah, do that. And this is where the scene ends. And sadly, maybe get out of your way. So there's the Avicenna just starting its escape, and the mine's chasing it and not catching it. How cool is that? All right, so I will get rid of this background. And
hopefully the minds are slightly confused back there, just as a parting gift from us.
Right.
Okay.
Then, that was
I
wicked.
quite like that image that you got
this
there.
one?
Yeah. I wouldn't
Compliments
mind
of the Complex Games apologist. He has
Right.
produced a variety of Avicenna in action things for us, all of which are in the files thing in Teams.
Right.
Okay, so with the close coordination and cooperation between Yang and Tex, the Avicenna is narrowly, and I do mean narrowly, able to thread the needle of this collapse. And Mbuto's, doing computer modeling all the way through it, and later on is able to report that literally a sphere of debris and asteroid rock just would have come in and smashed
us. Yeah.
To then contain the detonation inside. This was a death trap from a bygone age. And here's where things start to get creepy. Mbuto can also reveal that this is a normal space lane. This was not... no one was aware that this was here. No alarm bells were triggered. No... Right? That Anders was going this route didn't make anybody suspicious. Right.
So who knows what is lying in wait for us along? If this is an established route that he's following. Right. Am I understanding correctly that he's not just like traveling from here to there through whatever it is?
Right. He's not making a beeline for Arrakis. We've established this. He's making these detours and the like.
In that case, why don't we make the beeline there?
Okay. So here we are in the boardroom discussing these events. The command crew has been relieved a little bit early. The B shift has been brought on a little bit early, and Wilkerson wants reports because this was a by the skin of your teeth kind of thing, and as everyone's filing in, he's got Anders, reports, logs, sealed records, reprimands and commendations. They're all flicking across the main viewer and across the small viewers, and
we have found that in playing this game, you're going to rack up a whole bunch of those reprimands, no matter what you do. So
definitely,
I forgive him all his. Just so you know, I forgive him all his reprimands.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Except maybe the ones where he phased out your security crew from existence. But
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he wants answers. He goes, speculation report. We walked face first into this trap, and that cannot happen again. He's not angry at anybody in the room.
Right.
He's obviously furious at himself.
So Mbuto's report is the one about the following the lane. And I know what, I'm Joanne. Somebody's got to play Joanne right now. That's all there is to it. She's feeling it, right?
I'd say Korsakov is still up on the bridge then.
Yeah, I figure. Yeah. So Joanne's like got her, her shoulders going at this point. She's saying, well, if he's following this ancient space lane, dropping little Christmas presents for us along the way, why don't we just make a beeline for whatchamacallit, Trachis?
Triacus. Yeah.
Trachis. Why don't we just make a beeline for Triachis?
I have only one concern, is that the Stian Anders I know has the type of memory to know that that destination was in the records. And he's not hiding his trail enough for me. Maybe that's too paranoid, but
Nobody nods at the too paranoid part. We're all thinking. Joanne's like, she's not too paranoid. She's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Too paranoid's good. I like too paranoid. Good. Yeah.
And this means that we need to pore over every record. We know that, and he's looking at Mbuto when he says you, but it's not the singular you, it's the plural you. When you discovered the artifact, was this Captain, and he catches himself, was this Stian Anders' only exposure to that culture? Did something happen before or after?
Is Tomlinson would be the appropriate resource, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So maybe Anya
Someone
suggests.
Well, yeah, I don't know who, but if it's not Joanne, then maybe somebody else can say it that I'm not playing. So,
Well, Joanne, she's just as friendly as Anya. She's just younger.
yeah, that's true. That's true. She kind of looks at Mbuto and says, what's Tomlinson's first name?
It has not been earned.
We haven't given him one.
Oh, he earned us a lot last time, though, with our little brain dive. He earned us a lot. He earned a lot. I think he gets a name. But all right, she says Tommy. It's his nickname. Tommy for Tomlinson. We don't know his first name. He earns a nickname. She says, ask Tommy.
And then Buto would say something like, Ensign Tomlinson would be an excellent resource.
Right.
Right. And so he flicks a look at Anya. Anya sends the communication. And Wilkinson says, we will break for 2 hours. The engineers are searching for additional damage. And we are setting a course for a midpoint between Xenon 5 and Triachis to buy us some time for this deliberation, not following Anders' course, but not deviating from it too much. And I'll expect a report to the best of your ability at that time.
Right.
Dismissed.
Right.
Okay. And one of your momentum decays. What if you'd like to take care of that? I'm very sorry.
Yeah, because there's no roll there. We got to look out for these like little incidental scenes along the way as they eat away at the momentum.
Right.
Got to find rolls. Just chit-chatting without a scene for a second. The notion that sorry, I can't do this without role playing. No. I'm checking myself.
Okay. Good.
Bogus alert. This is something a character should be saying to another character.
Okay.
I'm holding it
So I'm going to set up the next
until such a time.
I'm going to set up the next scene. Maybe it'll fit right in there. So
it could, or we could do table talk with KC. It piques my curiosity. What the hell were you on about earlier?
I said nothing until maybe we can talk about it later.
Well, I
Okay.
know, but now I'm like,
So
what?
this is an
Sorry,
amount
go
of
ahead,
time.
Anthony.
This is an amount of time later in the corridor, right? Because you guys are the bridge crew is currently off duty. They're in their own private time, but Wilkinson has kind of quashed that. There is no rest and relaxation for the Avicenna crew. Anya's going one way
Noted.
with Tomlinson, right? She looks like she's headed to a meeting. Tomlinson is holding a bunch of microtapes, and he's like, he wants to see me, that kind of thing. And Yang is headed in the other direction, in this round corridor. And Anya hits Yang with eye contact and says, "I was just about to call you. There's a subspace message on hold from you and she doesn't want to say where it's from with Tomlinson standing there, that I think you should take." She changes conversational direction from that I think you should take in your quarters. And she gives you an access code. She also didn't want to just announce the whole ship. Ensign Yang, please report for
No. Yeah, we've been through that once already. Yeah, that went well. Yeah.
Anson Yan totally understands the innuendo and goes straight to his quarters.
All right. Now, this is an ensign's quarters. This is a young officer's quarters, which means it's shared space.
Is there anyone in the shared space at the moment?
I think a good scheduler, someone like an Anya Smith, would make sure that you have opposite duty rotations and only see.
So they've been rotated on while he's rotated off.
Right. So it's currently empty. We haven't met Yang's roommate yet, but we now know that he has one.
Right. And the 20 has that guy's face on it.
You got it. Exactly. The 20 that is so often rolled. Okay.
All right. Yang punches in the access code, and I haven't seen a private communications in the series yet. Is this like how do they do it in Starship Troopers, or is this like a?
No, it's on the desk. on the desk, there is a monitor, a single computer system monitor.
Okay.
And the communications officer can send signals or communications wherever they want inside the ship to whatever location. Although there are some that are restricted because they are security threats. So like only to command console, like to wherever the captain was, that sort of thing. So this is a personal communication with a security code. Yang could have chosen to watch it anywhere he wants because he has the code. All right, but this is in his quarters. So you have a shared desk, you have a shared viewer. Yeah. And of course the first thing that comes up is the United Federation of Planets logo, as the connection on the other side is reestablished, right? This is an ongoing call. There's going to be some lag, some breakup of signal.
And Yang breathes a sigh as he's waiting.
Okay. The screen shimmers and clears, and a businesslike woman in what looks like a Starbase 11 office is there for a moment. She recognizes that Yang is present. She says, "One moment, please." And she puts Yang on hold, and the United Federation of Planets hold screen is the Office of Commodore Stone hold screen. So there's this brief and terrifying moment of, am I going to be talking to Commodore Stone?
And why?
And
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
And instead, you see Commodore Stone walking out of view. We see Ambassador Yang, the father.
Oh, the father. All right.
Yes, in the shot with what can only be the Gorn ambassador.
Oh, I'm
Hmm.
feeling all the plot threads, that we know about. We even saw his little silhouette, right? Or somebody's Gorn silhouette at one point.
Oh yeah, we did. They were present at Starbase 11. They weren't just subspace communicating.
Right. No, there was chit chat, like one membrane away from Ensign Yang at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Andrew.
Oh wow. Going for the name, huh?
You made me sit up, Anthony.
Yes. ... Father. Wasn't quite sure what he was supposed to address, but Andrew was probably the tip off.
And then his kind of surprising moment of joy at being able to get through is covered over with the professional mask. He says, "Thank you for quickly responding, Ensign. I am here with," and you can see the wheels turning because he's your father. Do I try and pronounce the Gorn ambassador's name, or do I call him the Gorn ambassador? And he chooses to call him the Gorn ambassador, who has, and then he leans in significantly, volunteered to share what information they have about the Potemkin crew and discoveries on Xenon 5.
I've been wondering a lot about that pickup of the Potemkin crew.
This is interesting. Since the father has established the context of the communication, Yang is going to suggest, wouldn't Starfleet protocol require this information to be passed into the command chain rather than an ensign?
I agree, Anson, that you should definitely inform your captain and perhaps invite him to this call.
The captain is currently occupied with some tracking information on the Potemkin. But if you insist the urgency of this information, I can relay that to the captain now, if you wish.
Or anyone else in the chain of command as first officer, but I was only able to contact you directly through emergency channels. Your father's playing some kind of political game.
Get the captain, buddy.
Is there some sort of insight check that Yang can make to figure this out?
Sure.
Like, this is just
as long as we have that momentum sitting there waiting to be spent. Otherwise, we get to watch it smell as it decays, right?
Yeah, insight plus command to figure out what Dad is up to.
Insight and command.
And it's your dad, so difficulty 0.
That's nice of you.
I'm not all difficulty 2s and 3s.
Well, what I think I'll try to do for this is I'm not going to spend momentum for dice. I'm going to be spending momentum for obtain information.
Okay.
So there'll be 2 straight rolls. Insight and command.
Insight and command.
Let's see how thick and Yang can be. He can be extremely thick with 2 18s.
Ooh. And that talent born to command or destined for command is not Not going to help out in this one?
All right. So,
Well, if I have to push a value for this, I have a value called responsibility to the truth.
responsibility to the truth. Yes.
Especially all this web of deceit and innuendo and
So
we're doing
much
it wrong,
layers.
but just live with it kind of bullshit. It's enough. Enough already. Yeah.
So
Tired of your
that's-
games, Dad.
Yeah.
So that's one determination lost. And I believe any determination that was previously earned from previous episodes do not carry over.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
By the
No,
way.
there you have them until
Wait.
spent. There's a
Oh,
There's
they do carry over from.
Yeah.
The point is that you don't get a new one with each episode if you don't use your old one.
Yes,
You don't
have-
stack
doesn't
them.
happen.
You
Yeah,
start with
but-
a
Right.
minimum
They
of
don't
one,
bank
yeah.
up just by starting new episodes. That's all.
Yes.
All right, okay, but
Right.
you don't reset any excess determination that you have.
Correct.
But you can't go over 3.
Wait a minute.
Whoever ends
but
up with 3 determination is rolling a lot better than we do. That's all I gotta say.
But I did spend a determination last episode, so I'm actually technically back to 1. So now I'm spending my only determination for a social encounter.
Or
That Yang never likes
cash in that
himself.
milestone.
Oh, that is correct. That is.
You are just
It is.
loaded
It is
with-
based on memories of what happened in the previous episode.
Yep.
And I believe that new determination was earned because of that back and forth with the parents. With the Ron ambassador.
Yeah.
That's all the narrative reason I need to get. Like,
I was going to say,
determination.
isn't this what we call system in action? Just
Exactly.
being itself?
Exactly.
Some wise person
System is-
somewhere said that
Yeah.
system does matter. I can't quite put a
Yeah.
finger on who that may have been,
I
but
know.
So we're spending that commendation, that milestone as determination,
okay.
recalling
I
the
love it.
memories of, I remember the Yang ambassadors talking to the Gorn ambassadors, and they seem to have this strange negotiation tactic that's underlying this whole conversation. So I'm going to spend determination to reroll the 2 dice, and then we'll see how thick Yang really is.
Okay.
Okay, not as bad, but just as interesting. I have a success against my insight and command, but I also roll a 20.
That only makes sense. Family's always complicated. Right?
Okay.
If I had been able to make up that role, right? If I'd been allowed, it was like, oh, special talent, choose the results for your friend. I would have chosen that.
Yeah.
That's pretty juicy.
Success and complication is way more interesting than just failure.
Totally. Especially on this role. Especially on this role. It's not a fucking rock trying to smash us. I mean, this is,
So there's fail forward and there's succeed sideways.
I take sideways more.
yeah.
All right.
I'm with that one.
So, time slows down a little bit, as Dad is giving significant looks, and there's flashbacks to things like sports practice as little kids, and your brother Joshua and you being handed gifts for the coach, or small envelopes for the teacher, and all these different things to grease the wheels of life, and drilling how to refer to people by their correct name and title, and how much to bow, and all these things, little things through your whole life. And this smells just like that. This is just Dad getting involved in your career again. But why would both ambassadors Yang be involved with the Gorn, and how would they get one to give up this kind of information, or what would motivate them to reveal what might be, privileged technological secrets or something? This is weighty, and why to just his son the ensign and not Commodore Stone directly, or so. Yeah, he definitely he definitely had given something up to the Gorn to get this. You can tell from his body language, right? He has leveraged something important to make it worth the Gorn's while. All for the good of the family, which right now is you, but also the good of the family. Your brother is on the other ship.
Joshua's seriously. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been worrying about that guy this whole time.
So all he wants you to do is be able to deliver this opportunity to gain information to the captain as you.
Right. And that's my base information.
Yep.
Now,
I still have that one momentum on the line. The only question is, what do I obtain? I know the intent is pretty clear, but is there something we can get more out of it?
oh yeah,
There, as the game master, I'm obligated to tell you when there isn't any more to gain. Like, just there are no.
right. Right.
This is not one of those cases. There is something you could learn. So.
Well, the way I'm thinking is it's probably not something related to what the Gorn is going to offer.
No, it's more related to what we can do. It's either giving us usable information for our current crisis.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Which I'm saying that I can't use the momentum to obtain information more about what.
Right. I'm not going
to
let you use it to find out what the Gorn knows.
Yeah.
But you can gain
so I'm going
context from the call.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably going to be using it on Ambassador Yang.
So obtain information is a question. Do you have a question to ask?
Yeah, that's the question I'm questioning myself with. The most obvious question is, what did he give up? You know, what's the leverage? But I'm not sure if that's exactly useful information to the crew. And it's not something I particularly think that maybe Yang would be interested in, but I think there's something else we can spend it for.
Do you want player
yeah,
talk? Or you want to work this through
we can
yourself?
have player talk, because if not, that's what I'm going for.
Okay.
So
my thinking is extremely selfish. I want useful information for us to have an advantage, another built-in advantage for the future. And so I'm to run with, I mean, he's telling you a thing, right? I mean, he's going to tell you a packet of information that he got from the Gorn. Let's make sure that that packet of information is nice and solid, right? With another momentum buying us. Make that information more powerful is what I'm saying, if that's allowed.
That's the packaging of that information has to be done by Ambassador, not by the Gorn. Which is
the
my
ambassador is offering to set up a conversation, a two-way conversation between the captain and the Gorn ambassador about the situation. That's the offer in a nutshell. And your father's going by this crazy route to gain advantage for you.
To make Andrew the messenger.
Right.
So that's why I was saying this obtain information is to obtain information on Ambassador Yang rather than on the Gorn.
So if we just keep it as momentum and just let the captain use it in his dialogue. Is that the idea? We can keep the scene going,
I guess,
bring Wilkerson in now, keep the scene going, and then with whatever role that is, he's at least got a momentum sitting there to use.
Yeah, that could be the alternative in the sense that we'll just let this one point of momentum die in this scene.
No, it's
so
not.
that
We keep the scene going. You're supposed to call the captain in right now and keep the scene rolling.
All right. I see what you mean.
It's a small ship. He could be there in a turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's an interesting
Yeah.
rule of
That's
Star
kind of the
Trek
benefit,
Adventures.
right?
No matter where you
Yeah.
are in the ship, you can be somewhere else in a turn.
Okay, I think that's actually a much better idea than putting Yang on the pedestal now to think about his political career than the Potemkin. All right.
Yeah.
So I'll be banking in that momentum, and then I'll be doing the proper procedures to maybe contact Anya to arrange to beam that communication with the captain.
Okay.
So it will be minimal involvement with Yang in terms of just sending the signal.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. But the complication.
Yes.
You were hoping I would forget. But I did not forget. So, we have the viewer. We have Ensign Yang's back. The viewer. Gorn.
Oh.
Older man. Door opens behind Ensign Yang. Whoosh. Roommate walks in. What's going on?
I have to think of a quick response to this. Do we make this roommate now as a supporting character, or is this going to be
the roommate as
adversarial NPC?
Turns around is someone we have seen before in the cafeteria.
I'm figuring
That particular guy, or just one of them on the table?
That particular guy.
Oh, great!
Geez, you're tighten. You're sewing this one's nice and tight, aren't you?
Well, since we are roommates, I would know his designation or department, right?
That's right. His name.
I just need to know his department. You can fix his name.
You don't care about his name?
I am deeply amused by that statement. Keep going.
I could be polite about that, but not at this point.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
He is in security now.
All right.
There was something compelling about Korsakov's dynamism and bringing the young crew and the old crew together. And, yeah.
Okay. The intent is to lie, to deceive, to mislead.
Distinguishing yourself as a Starfleet officer yet again.
You still kind of have to know to play the game sometimes.
Right.
So I'm trying to minimize damage. Like saying one of the officers on the security crew, let's say Mondragon, is looking for you to give you a new assignment to check up on some of the weaponries.
Okay. Go ahead. Lie.
And
that would be presence in command. I'm joking, of course.
Of course it's presence in command.
I know.
And this is actually okay. So first of all, there is I'm negotiating for the application of the diplomacy focus.
Okay.
To make it sound plausible.
Yeah.
And since I've already spent determination, I'm just bringing this up anyway as role-playing flavor, that this is one of the things that Yang learns as a leader among men. To lead someone around, even though it may be a mislead.
Right.
And just to make things happier for Anthony, I will spend one momentum, the one that I just earned, and 2 threat to buy 2 dice.
Okay. Very cool.
Difficulty?
Well, it's going to be opposed.
Good.
So your difficulty is 1,
If-
but you have to do better than the
And-
other fellow.
Yes, that. Alright. So this is presence in command. The points. We should put them over the line just to
Hopefully, he's got some difficulty just because what he's looking at is so freaking confusing.
I mean, I think Yang can handle accusations of a Gorn spy better than explaining why he's talking to the ambassador. Okay, these are very mixed results. We have a failure of a 19, and I'm assuming there's no complication range to that.
You're right.
There will be 2 plain successes. Oh, actually there'll be 3 because 4 is higher than my command. So there'll be 3 plain successes.
Okay. He goes, fine. Turns on his heel and walks out, mumbling about these new room assignments and I don't know what the
Who he
captain's
has
playing
to.
at.
Yeah.
So
The,
I'll be adding
there's-
2 threat to the pool and reducing 1 from our momentum pool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nicely
Time
done.
Uh-huh.
for a fascinating conversation with Mondragon somewhere on the ship later. Right. What the hell?
Bang!
Go find me a left-handed socket wrench.
Okay, so Anya signals, and the captain signals from outside the door.
Outside. Oh, okay. I was intending it for that communication to patch into the briefing room, but this
He
was
has
just
different
external.
intentions.
Okay, sure. Captain comes in. I say, Captain, you will want to see this, and I lead him towards the terminal with hopefully with still both ambassadors on the holding hand.
Right. With the captain, I'd like to involve Lieutenant Korsakov, the first officer. Sorry. And there are 2 security officers outside the door. And when the captain walks in, he makes room for Korsakov to follow, and then he switches the door to private.
This is the oh so nothing says privacy like 2 security officers standing out there all red, right? Private, yes. Secret, no.
Okay.
Ensign Yang,
Sensing that, the captain has locked the door, he's guessing that his presence should be in the room rather than outside of it.
so he steps a little
I
closer,
guess-
puts his hand on
yeah.
the back of the chair, and he
Alright.
says, "You're an essential part of the bridge crew. You can be involved in this conversation."
All right. Yang takes into assurance, makes the quick introductions as Ambassador Yang to Captain Wilkinson, and then he points that the Gorn has agreed to share some information regarding the Potemkin that I think you should know about. And he's readying a reply in case the captain is asking why didn't this go to the command chain, but he's waiting for that question to pop.
Okay. I have to step out. The doorbell has just rung, and so 1 moment, please.
Should we call it here? This has been in the 2-hour mark, and
Can
Yeah, it's
we?
closing.
Yeah, we could end it. But anyway, I gotta run. I'll be right back.
Okay.
so yeah, it's anyway. Sorry, Anthony. We were talking about the Gamma
Oh.
world.
Oh yeah,
Oh, he's back. Oh, sorry, I didn't notice you were back.
it's me.
That's something. No, it's my Zoom is not showing everyone's faces. That's why.
I had to make a noise to announce my return.
Ah.
I have returned from the...
All right.
All right, so we'll finish with a tender moment before cutting to commercial of you have every right to be here, and the introductions being made. So when we come back in part C, please think of, because all of you are going to be involved. It's not just me role playing with myself.
Right.
Wilkinson will definitely contribute as an NPC as I picture
it may
him,
well
but-
be that the conflicts are more about what we're dealing with or concluding or coping with than it is about them. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So we got a week to think about the weirdness of that particular situation.
Don't touch that dial. Star Trek First Response. We'll be right back.